Hello, everyone. Welcome to our November product update webinar at Klient. Thanks for joining us today. Are we ready to get started? I see people are coming in. Great. All right, let's go ahead with our next slide, Yanick. All right, so my name is Rosalie. I'm Customer Success Manager at Klient, and I will be your host today. We also have our CEO, Yanick.
Bonjour, Rosalie. Very happy to be here, as usual.
And we have Natalie, our project advisor, who will be answering your questions in the Q&A and chat today. So a couple of things to know about this webinar. We want it to be as engaging and interactive as possible. So make sure you participate in the polls. You can also use the React button and ask questions in the Q&A or in the chat. And speaking of polls, let's start with our very first poll, which should be taking over. We want to know, is this your first client webinar? Yes. No, I'm a regular. No, I've been to a couple. We're hoping this yes is coming up and up as we do more webinar. All right, it's pretty mixed around the three answers today. Thank you very much for answering.
We love the regulars and we welcome the new one.
Yeah. All right. And all right, let's talk about the agenda. Today is a bit of a special one. So you may have noticed we didn't have any major release since our last webinar. So instead of talking about that today, we will be covering feature spotlights, some of our most exciting features that Yanick has personally handpicked. So we'll talk about 5 of them today: the Klient Preload, logging time, Workspace presets, project import wizards, and skills. And for each of these features, we'll explain what they are, and then we'll show you how to use them in Klient. Yanick, how about we get started with our very first feature spotlight, the Klient Preload? And I know we've talked about it in previous webinars, but why don't you refresh our memory a little?
Yes, and today I think the team is kind of about speed and efficiency and try to be as fast as you can within the system. And one thing about Salesforce and one thing about the client, it's a very trusted and a very, very secure platform, but it also means that there's a cost in terms of security and caching the data the first time that you load every day. So we've implemented something called the Klient Preload, which is a global action that's going to load all the different objects at one time. So this way, your rest of the experience for your day is going to be fast and streamlined. So that's basically the concept of this, Rosalie.
Yeah, and I think based on what you explained, I feel like anyone who's ever complained about speed whatsoever should give this a try, right?
Exactly. It's one of the things that when we're talking about speed, and I'm not a very patient guy, so absolutely when I just loaded my preload before this demo, and I'm always doing it. You interested to see how we can set it up?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Perfect. So for you guys that are listening, that are admin of your system of client, you can go ahead and do it yourself with me. So you just go on the setup panel. Then on the quick find, you just have to go and search for global. You're going to see that we have globals action that we can take a look at. So the global action, we're going to see you have one that's called Klient Preload. If you don't see it, it's because you're not on the proper version. Rosalie, what's the version number for this specific feature?
That would be 49.3.
Perfect. So, and then after that, if you have it, you can go on your publisher layout. You should probably only have one. If you edit that layout, and if you're looking at mobile and lightning action, you're going to see you're going to have some items, including the preload, that you can just drag and drop in here. So it's going to be showing up in that plus sign. And while we add it, let's just add that quick time, because this is going to be our second topic of discussion. And it's going to be there by default. You save it. And then we can exit our setup, go back and refresh our page, and you'll see now, before I had the preload, but now I've added QuickTime. Whoops. So I misclicked. So sorry about that. Here we can see that we have now the QuickTime and the Klient Preload. So if I show you how the Klient Preload behaves, so we can see how easy it is every day that you have to do this. You just need to press it, then confirm. The first time it might pop up kind of a blocker in your browser, because what it's doing, it's loading all those tabs on top. And so this way you were pre-caching all the information, so your X of the experience is going to be very fast. Then when they all finish loading, you can just do close tab to the right or close other tab in your browser. And then you're back up with a fast system for the rest of your day.
That's
Simple?
Yeah, pretty simple. I'm actually going to do a quick poll about it. I'm just curious to know if people have set it up already. And then maybe based on the demo we just did, they'll say they want to set it up.
And maybe we should have asked it before, because now maybe they have set it up during the call.
There's an option for no, but I'd like to set it up. So I'm hoping everybody answers that. Nobody is going to say they don't want to. And that's pretty much what's happening right now, to be honest. That makes sense. And I think another great time to use the client preload, Yanick, is like before doing webinar presentation to the rest of the team when you're sharing your client instance. That's probably a good time to do it as well.
Every time I'm starting my day or every time I have a demo, I definitely use it. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I'm really glad to see a lot of people are planning on setting that up after today's webinar. So hopefully on next webinar, we can see if people have actually done it or not, if it helped the speech. All right. Well, while we're talking about time saving, and I think you touched on it, Yanick, why don't we move to our next topic, which is logging time? And for that one, customers often are asking me like, how can we make time logging easier, like faster for end users that actually have to do it? How can we make it so that people are actually excited to log time, if that's even possible? What would be your answer, Yanick?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close of making it exciting. I think one of the key thing is that you want it to be very accessible. So you want to be able to log time very quickly. So you finish a task, you don't want to click 22 places and to be able to log your time. So make it very easy for your team to log their time. And then it's all about as well monitoring. So we're going to be seeing this in the second portion of this demo. So monitoring and helping your people remember until we deliver our AI timesheet, our time agent, which is going to be coming early 2025.
All
Okay.
right, so making it easy and simple. Why don't you show us how to do that in Klient?
Excellent. So I'll show you 4 or 5 ways that you can, and usually I like to say there's only one best way, but for time logging, you want it to be everywhere because you want to lower that barrier to entry to log your time. So one of the first thing we did, we add the quick time here. So now everybody, as soon as you're logged in, you have that quick time that you can come in, select your project, select your task, and log your time. We even have a start-stop timer that you can play around and use. Okay, so we have that quick time that you can absolutely use it from everywhere in the system.
And if
Then,
people are all gonna be adding the preload button, then they can do that as well, like you just showed earlier,
you should
right?
have done it already.
No excuse.
So now, and also like you can drop that QuickTime component in a few places. So I'm going to show you here, for example, we have it on our home page. We've dropped that component in one of the section, and then we have that QuickTime. I didn't want to switch to my mobile phone, but I have it here. We also have a mobile timesheet that is available on the mobile Salesforce Client mobile application. So you can have that too. Then when you're working on your project, it's a good place, for example, to have it dropped as a component in your project also. So you can see we have it here. And you can put it, I didn't show it either, but on the case object of Salesforce. So if you have like support project where your people are logging their time, you can drop it on that case object as well, not just our client object, but Salesforce object, basic object too. Far so good? So
Yep.
there's more. There's more.
Of course.
From our different workspace or lenses, let me open up, for example, the Kanban, and you'll see across our lenses, there's always that green pen that brings up the task panel. So from within a task panel, you will usually always have that tab called time. If you don't have it, it's one of your settings that's not on, but it should be there. And as you can see, again, I have my start-stop timer, and I can just come in here and punch the comment. Let me just log one for now. So we can have it later on during the demo. So I'm going to log my time. So now I'm just logging my time under that task. And then, like I said, we can do that from everywhere in the system. case from our workspace, from our Kanban, the resource plan, that task panel is pretty much everywhere. And let me go back here. So if I'm opening up that specific design task in full screen, so let's say I'm working directly in that task object, I have all the details of it, but you also want to drop that log time component, and you also want to drop it here. And as you can see, it picked up the project and the task automatically. So I can just log my time directly into the task, which is kind of a great place where you want your team to collaborate on the task record object. So this is a good way of looking at it.
Can I ask, Yanick, like which one are you using for time logging the most often, or it's a mix?
For me, it's I'm pretty much always using the workspace and the task panel on the right side. This is all, and I really love to do the timer. I put my music, play, work, stop, then log my time. Then there's when you have to do a bunch of timesheet entry at the same time, we have a classic my timesheet, right?
Yep.
So we have that timesheet that you can log your time. So that 4 hour we just logged, but also you can copy from your schedule. So this means saving time as well. So when you're using Client to schedule your work, it's going to bring up all the tasks that you scheduled within that week. So it's only looking at that week, bring up that information, and it's even telling you how many hours you're supposed to be logging this week. So this way you can, and you have the overall view. So one other thing that I don't know if you do, so if you do Control or Command on your keyboard on a Mac and do Control click with your mouse, it's popping up this as on the right side here, and then you can pin those tabs. So if you want to make it even easier as a tab and to be docked here.
So you can go back to it many times during the day.
Yeah,
Great.
so this way you don't have to do one more click by clicking it.
All right. Well, it looks like it's pretty easy to log time in Client. I think I just wanted to do a quick poll maybe to ask people about time logging in general. So I want to know if your organization is logging time in Client. That's the first question. And then how many people are doing it? Is it everyone, only specific teams? And and do you have to chase people that don't submit their timesheet? That's going to be kind of a segue to our next
great segue indeed.
our next section. Yeah. And I think I'm curious for the question as well, who's logging time? As sometimes it's only billable resources that are expected to do it, sometimes not. Internally at Client, everybody has to do it, but curious to know.
One thing that people sometimes forget is that when you have a new customer, you can create automatically a support project. And when every time your customer are reaching out to your support team, you can log the hours. So you're going to measure the real true costs of your customer, including support. So that's one of the reasons that having that component drop on the case object makes like the experience a lot more easy for your team to log their time. I'm not sure if it's exciting, Rosalie, but at least it's definitely efficient.
I know that's what we're doing, so. All right, perfect. So let me just, thanks for answering the results. And then essentially we want to help our customers here. So tell me, Yanick, like how can we monitor and make sure that people are logging time and submitting their timesheet? How do we get to the point where everyone is logging time? We don't have to chase people anymore.
Yeah, and depending if you're doing billable project or not, it's important to, in my mind at least, to log your time on a daily basis. First, I find it a lot more fair for the customer because I do exactly what I did and how many hours. I don't wait to the end of the week and what did I do on Monday already and then log my hours. So for me, daily timesheet is very important for the company, but also for our customer. So try to enforce that kind of level. And when you're doing billable hours, it's easy because then you can see really the progress of your project based on hours. So those drafts all move every day, so it's good. But one thing that you do absolutely, it's at the end of the week, and then we have our automations who have an automatic timesheet notification that can be sent to your people that haven't submitted their timesheet or haven't done the full 40 hours, or it's configurable, but hours a week. So you can send an email on Friday afternoon or Monday morning, so they finish up their timesheet for the previous week. So this is another way to make sure that they will be doing it. And I'll be showing you right now, Rosalie, another dashboard that's coming with Client, which is the timesheet validation dashboard. In the past, we've been looking at the pre-invoicing dashboard, which is a similar concept. But from here, let me switch back to all. So here we have that timesheet validation dashboard where it's telling us, okay, what are the missing timesheet? So people that haven't created a timesheet at all, or not submitted, or not approved. It's also, you can select a date range. So I mean, let's say I want to look at last week. This is the kind of dashboard we call it an exception report dashboard. So you want that dashboard to be pretty much empty. So meaning that there's no not approved timesheet. So for now, it's only me with my 2 hours of last week. It's telling me I haven't filled the 40 hours, so we haven't conditional formatting showing. So that's another thing that's like the person that's doing the either the project management office, project manager, they should be looking at this on a regular basis to see the process of a timesheet. So this way as well, you're getting a little bit more control. So each week somebody should be looking at this.
And this timesheet validation dashboard is available out of the box in Client, correct?
Correct. And
Perfect.
I've missed a step as well on the you want to make it simple as well on the approval process of timesheet. So usually the standard approval process that comes. So before, when I was on my timesheet, there was a save and submit button. So that submit button, when it's a billable project or a customer project, usually it goes to the project manager of that project and then maybe the manager. So you want to keep it very simple. And then we have that approval timesheet interface that's really helping you to approve in mass your timesheet. You can even group in different ways your data. So this way, it's going to be easier for you to approve your timesheet of your team. So making it easy in the system, making sure that it's enforced with notification and dashboard, and then providing proper tools so everybody can execute fast. This is probably pretty much the view of making sure that you are creating those timesheet daily.
Yeah, and if I can add something, it looks from the poll result I was looking at, everybody says they struggle, like they have to chase people down for timesheet submission. So based on that, I would expect everybody to go after the webinar and set up that missing timesheet notification, and hopefully see some great results.
There's always the carrot and the stick, right? Usually I prefer the carrot. So like you can also, because all is that is monitor. So you have late timesheet, so you can like make it in not a gamifying mode, but you can definitely give credits to people at your all ends of, and giving even like gift card to people that are submitting always on time. So if you want to encourage, there are a couple of techniques.
All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for the time logging spotlight, Yanick. How about we move on to our next one, which is Workspace presets.
Yes.
All right, so let's do it. First of all, what are presets? So presets, they're pre-configured views, and then they change the appearance of, in this instance, the workspace. So just one click, you can access different views. You don't have to reset every time and readjust everything. So saving you some time. And there's a couple of attributes that you can save in your presets. Maybe we can show the next slide, Yanick, just to have a little overview, and then we'll dive into it. So when you're saving a preset, you can save like columns, the order of the columns, how big they are, which view. There's a couple of view you can have. We'll show you examples. If you're viewing by days, weeks, months, any filters you have, and then critical path is on or off. So these are a couple of things. And I actually think an image is worth 1,000 words, Yanick. So how about you show us a couple of ways that you're using presets in your day-to-day?
Yeah, let's do this. And I wanna go through kind of a standard life cycle of a project. So let's say, and this is the way we're gonna approach it. Okay, preset. I'm gonna show the workspace preset, but we do have a preset on the Kanban side and the resource planner too. So preset is it's a global concept across our lens. For now, you can see first the presets. It's here on the right side. Now I'm selecting on my work breakdown structure preset. You saw from a previous webinar that I love doing keyboard navigation. So when I'm kind of a creative mode, or when I'm creating a project for a customer, a bespoke project, or a new kind of process procedure, I come in here and what I want to focus on, it's really the task and task name. So I only have 2 columns here, and I go ahead and I type. And Rosalie, as you can see, when I move thing, right, we got this small light, which indicates us that something has changed.
Yeah, the asterisk, the red asterisk. That's right.
Exactly. So I've moved something in my preset. So this way I can come back and save it again. So it's going to remember that what I've changed. So in this case, I've changed the column width. So it remembers it. So for example, this is one of the presets I use when I really just want to work on task and structuring a project with keyboard navigation. You can watch
And presets don't have to be complicated. That one has like 3 columns. That's totally fine. You don't have to have a lot of stuff.
Actually, it's this one is always there, so it's only one column.
Yep.
So it's very simple. Otherwise, when usually the next step is okay. Now I'm going to estimate. So you can see I've switched to my estimation preset that I've built, and here I have other columns. So again, Rosalie, columns are coming from those presets. So it's you've mentioned it before, and from there I would go exactly like about. I'm not doing a demo of the workspace, but the idea is from here again I can play around my system and do my project and my change to my estimation. So I can come in here and change the estimation of hour. So it's really having the good columns for what you're doing in that time. In that time, I'm doing estimation. So I want to be able to change the task name, the estimation hour, the description, maybe the assignee very fast.
Yeah, and something as simple like just adjusting the width of the column, like something where you just have number data, you don't need that much, but then when you have a description field, then you may need a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
So all that's being saved.
Yeah, when you say it, yeah, absolutely. And it's we didn't talk about it before in the prep, Rosalie, but remember which one you last were on. So next time you're going to open it up, it's going to be on that. Another thing that it saved, it's our different panel. Okay, so now you see I have still my grid on the left, but now on the right I have my task, my assignment UI, my assignment grid. So now I have my roles, my developer and QA, which are, for example, here assigned, and I can see their breakdown of hours for those specific tasks. So also with the preset, you got that kind of the different views we're going to see with the next one. We also have the timeline. So this is all within the preset. If I go at timeline planning again, we have it. You've mentioned it before, so it remembers which like kind of if you are in a week or if you are in months, it's gonna remember that, and it's gonna that the preset is being saved with those settings also.
And that's particular to type of projects you have. Some customers have very short projects, longer projects, and some more details and not. So that's really handy.
Yeah.
People don't know they can save that.
Yeah, and then actually with from the preset after that, if you want to switch between your, let's say I just want to see the grid, you're still able to just move through the other setup we have. And if you want to save it, and again, those grid, right, you can add all your field that you want. So you're not stuck to those preset. They're going to be there, and then you can save it or not. Another one I like to look at, it's this one here and it's called for us the timeline execution. So I'm seeing both the grid, some of these statuses, percentage completion, the task, but you can see now I don't have my completed task anymore, meaning that the filter active task is also being saved within my preset.
Yeah, and you played with the order of the columns as well. So typically we're used to seeing the task at the very left end, but you've put the status and completion at the very left because I'm assuming it's very important when you're looking from that view. So you want to see it up front.
Yeah, when you're executing, there's also a different column you're looking at, right? So, and this is my kind of execution, which are just statuses, but quite often you want to know the information about the hours too, which bring me with the, I think about sharing, correct? It's we want to talk about this. So there's one, for example, when you have a problem in a project, there's a view I like, which is my investigation view. And this is the one I'm sharing, like I've been sharing in the past. So, okay, there's a problem with my project. So we have a different fields that you want to investigate. So the estimation hour, the hours log, percentage complete, but also the estimated hour based on the percentage complete. So we can see here we're forecasting to be 20 hours over our estimated hours. So that's why our health of task is no good. So for example, this specific preset, let's say Rosalie, we're working together, I could share this preset with you. So all project resource can see it, or I can send it to a list of project resources. So let's say I want to share it to Jenny or to yourself, I'm going to be able to share that preset. So there's a lot of benefits of sharing preset, right?
Yeah, and you just have to make sure you're on 49.7 and above if you want to use the sharing functionality. Yeah, little FYI.
And the preset, because we do have 4 default presets that coming with the system, and then you're going to build your own, and sharing it is going to ease up the change, the ease of use and the change adoption. It's going to facilitate everything in terms of your change management. So please do share your preset. It's definitely worth it.
And make sure you call them something. If you're going to share them, make sure you call them something that's going to ring a bell to people.
Yeah, and as you can see, we didn't look at the option, but you can, when you modify something and you want to just save that preset, you save it. But if you want to save as, you can create a copy of it. You can rename it. So if the name is unclear, and you can delete those plus sharing. So we have those preset. We also have a version on the global preset. The global preset at this point, they're not shareable, but it's coming in a near release.
Yeah. Let me just end up with a little poll here. So, I mean, I'm sure some customers after they're going to go set up some new presets, so at least check it out. So that's great. We want to know just a couple of things. Like, have you ever saved/created a workspace preset? I'm hoping yes. Have you ever shared a preset? That would imply that you're on a latest version. And then how many presets do you typically use? So it looks like Yanick had like maybe almost 10 presets he's using, but I'm just curious to know. So we have a couple of options. And then keep in mind, like all those polls, there's no wrong or right answer. We just want to know what you're doing. All right.
It's about efficiency, right? So maybe you were not using it, but yeah, I'm thinking about it. So
Yep.
it's frustrating sometimes to always have to readjust or realign your columns. So saving it and making it a preset makes everything easier.
Perfect. Thanks for everyone that answered the poll. And we'll move on to our next topic, which is the project import wizard. And this is quite a new functionality. It's available since 49.7, just to give you a little background. It's a really cool new way that you can leverage project templates in Klient. I personally tell all our customers to use templates, and I know you do the same, Yanick. So what would be like the main benefits for an organization to start leveraging templates in general?
Template, there's a ton of advantages, but it's structure your business. So meaning that when you do a standard implementation to your customer, yes, you have some specific item for each one of your customer, but there's always a frame. You can see it on my screen now, like the plan, design, develop, deploy. It's always there. There's always a pre-kickoff planning. There's always a kickoff meeting. There's always key milestones, signature, when the UAT, when the go live, is there cash? And so there's always kind of that basic structure. After that, true, there's different lines, but it's structure your business. Plus, we'll see what the preset comes with. But for example, there's always checklist. The description is coming with it. Our checklist item, it's not a good example, but our checklist item are coming with it. So there's a ton of benefit of using that templates, but also our import wizard that we're going to be looking at in a second.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered my question, which was like, what are people supposed to include in a template if they were going to include anything? But you showed a couple of things already. So.
Yeah, but later on, it's going to have the chance to talk about it because there's more than just the description and the task. Yeah. There's a lot more. Okay. So let me maybe show you what the import wizard is. So first, you access it when you create a new client project. Now you have that import button that's in here. And there's 4 different ways or different type of templates that you can create or use when you're creating a new project. Let me start with the last one, the client marketplace. So our marketplace is templates that client is offering you guys, our customer, so you can kickstart some of your type of project or give you new ideas of project that you should be running with your team to really bring you to the next level. Okay, so we have some customer billable project, for example, that are included that you can spin off with a word breakdown structure with some description associated with a standard timeline. So if you're a Salesforce partner and you're starting using Klient, you should definitely add it and start playing with it and create your own custom project to look what it looks like. But then we want to give you ideas as well. So for example, when you have a new candidate selection, so when you're hiring people, are you following always the same step? Are you improving from what you've learned during your last hire to maybe realign your, in our case, for example, we're always doing a psychometric test. So Rosalie, for example, this rings a bell, right? This is exactly.
Yeah, that's the one I went through when I started.
This one plus the employee onboarding project, which is kind of the first 90 days to get you up and running in your role and within. So those are examples that we provide. Cool.
Yeah.
More and more, we're going to add templates. We're going to try to add templates every quarter. You can always spin from any existing project. So the Smile project we were looking at before, we can spin it directly from here. But when you have done one project and you want to change it to a template, you're going to see it's only one checkbox you have to check. But then it's becoming fun because you can have your type of implementation. Let's say you do a full deployment or maybe per module, maybe some are fixed fees, some are tenant expense. I can, for example, select that base project, but we're also kind of a project CPQ. So now you can even add task template, which are usually just smaller bit that you would do on top. And you can see as well that we can reorder those modules. So when we're going to create the project, it's going to create those projects and it's going to load everything that's within it. So we'll start this. And Rosalie, this is where maybe we can talk of everything that's included.
Yeah, so what would you include? Let's say someone wants to start creating a template, they can put so much stuff in it. What would be the main key things they have to include and save?
As you can see at the bottom here, it's written billable and fixed fee milestone. So depending what type of project, you're gonna the project envelope, you're gonna create it. And then you're gonna have the task detail, the estimation of hours. And we can see as well that we're not just only bringing this. So that new project that we've created together, it came out to this. Let me just switch to my timeline execution.
There
So
you go. You can
switch.
think that's like a pro.
Like a pro. This is the project that's been created out of those templates. And you can see the way it's been broken down is that we have our main one with the task, but also with the assignee. I also have some of the description, and this was a simple one, but we have the description, we have the checklist that also coming with the system. So it's really guiding your people, the estimation of hours, and that timeline component that's coming with it with all the relationship. And then the cool thing you have to do, because now you have those three kind of independent things, but let's say that when you're going to start delivering, you're going to be starting that bundle one, you can move it this way. And then you can also easily move task around if you need to realign your project across. So this way you have that project structure with all the information for your team, including the description and even a customer-facing description. So all this is being incorporated within those templates.
And just if I can add something, because I know customers often say, oh, all our projects are different and like we can't go that much detail. Your template can be as detailed or as little detailed as you want. So you could also just have your main phase with like very rough estimation, correct?
Exactly, like that level of plan design, or sometimes just a one-liner, depending because if it's a managed service project, it's going to be a different structure, right? It's going to be mainly the backlog of a list of items to be done. So, but there's always a template. Even when you're doing software development, we have templates. When we do, like I said before, a customer hiring a new employee, and there's a template. So there's always template. For us, templates is also linked to procedures. It's thing to follow. When you have a sales to up, when we win a new business, there's a template we have to follow. So.
And if I can just add before we wrap up this topic, Yannick, I know someone asked how you added those emojis in the task name. Maybe you can just show it quickly.
Yeah, and it's now there's different ways. So first, you can right click, and it's going to bring your standard browser stuff, so you can include it. And Rosalie, you were complaining that my emojis are outdated. I think you're right. My computer is still in Windows 10. So I think this is my problem. I should upgrade. Another one, Microsoft on Windows, you can do the Windows key plus the dot, and it's going to show up this. So right click or I like a keyboard shortcut. So, and then the emojis will follow through, and they follow pretty much everywhere.
Perfect. I'm just going to launch a quick poll. I'm just curious to know if people are using templates, and then if you're happy with the way they're using templates, and then I'll just use that information for a next webinar most likely. But otherwise, I think that was kind of it for the project import wizard, right?
Yes, it
Perfect.
is.
And I want us to have enough time to talk about our last topic, which is, I'm biased, but favorite one, because we haven't spoken a lot about it during webinars. So let's move on to skills.
Skills, yes.
Yes.
So, and I'm gonna let me just go back to the slide. So yes, skills. It's something that's really helpful when you want to staff your projects and when you want to have kind of know exactly where your people stand in several topics. So first, let me show you, Rosalie, how it's being used, and then we can see how it's being set up. Okay.
Yep. What
In
the
this
end
specific,
goal
I'm
is.
sorry.
Yeah, we're looking first at what the end goal is with this whole
Yeah.
skill.
So the exciting part first, and then you can set it up. So we can see, for example, that this project is ongoing. We saw that block task that we're going over budget, but we haven't staffed our development yet because we're still in the design phase. So we're still having those placeholder resources here that are in my stories that I'm going to develop. But let's say now is the time to staff my developer. Okay,
Yep.
so I'm going to open up my project resource planner. And it's going to bring me to a view of my team and also the work involved. So the development side of thing is between November and December, and this is the work that I need to staff. So by clicking here on my my resource, it's going to bring me to my first stage of my preparation of resources. So now you can see it's bringing all my developer within the system. It's telling me what is the workload of that specific task or project in this case. And then it can tell me who can do the work. So unfortunately, Ben and Bailey seems to be very low. So maybe I want to add some other role that I have in the system that could do development. Maybe some of my project, this is far-fetched, but let's say some of my project manager can be developer. So I can add more people. And then the cool thing is that you can come in here, select a few people, let me benchmark Roxanne, which is my user, with the other. And it's bringing you this. It's bringing you that skills comparison kind of baseball card that you can easily see who's good at what. And in this case, if it was flows or if it was Apex that was needed, we can see that Bailey and Jenny would be good contendant. And that's also very interesting is that you can see that there are some availability hours here. So within that period, they only have 22 and 96 hours. So I can even have some of that information. And with a simple click, I can book my resource. So the concept is here is that to be able to compare your people for different skills. So when you're growing, you're able to do this when you're staffing. But as we were going to be discussing as well, it's kind of a performance or employee engagement way that you can do. So making sure that your people are keeping up to date so on knowledge. It's a way that you can involve your people in it.
Yeah, and maybe to keep in mind, like if someone that's not using skills yet is going to this screen, they're not going to see all these baseball cards with like all the blue lines, right? So there would be some setup required before getting to that point, correct?
Setup is a big word because it's very easy. So
Some easy setup. I forgot to add easy before.
okay, so the concept, and I've kept it as simple as it gets, so you can do it again. You can follow me and do it right now. We're gonna add a few skills, and it's basically there's mainly two object linked to it. So we're gonna have the skills and certification object that we're gonna open up, and we're gonna open up as well the proficiency rating object. Okay, so those two I've opened up here. You can see a list. In your case, if you haven't set it up, there's gonna be none. So no skills at all. So and the idea is not to create 1,000 skills from day one, correct, Rosalie?
No, one or two is going to do the trick for starters.
Yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's say big modules. In our case, for example, on client, maybe it's our resource management, maybe time management, something that like sales clouds, something that's global to maybe your practice to a few people. So you can just go ahead and create the new skills. Like I said, I kept it as simple as possible. You can improve on that, but that's at this point, it's only the name that you need. And then we need to go to the proficiency rating. So this would be the classification that you guys, we let you configure it for your skills. So in our case, we have 0 to 4, 1 and 4. And is it a 5-star rating or 4-star rating? In our case, we also have 0 where you want to manifest that you're interested in learning that skill. So this way as well, you can kind of gamify this whole process as well.
Yeah, and the proficiency rating would be what indicates like the blue lines we were seeing earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our name are pretty bland, but like some of our customer like a Jedi Master or newbie, or like you can play around with a little bit of this too, right? It's about change management, user adoption.
As long as everybody knows what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the end of the
Yeah, and let me go back to, let's say I'm opening up that Salesforce Sales Cloud. Then when you open up that skills, you can see who's assigned and who has that proficiency rating. So we could, right from here, we can create one of those new mapping. But if I'm going to show you the resource side of thing just after. Okay, so let's look at Jenny Red. Okay, so Jenny Red is one of our project resource. So on her resource side, you can also have that related list project resource skills. And again, you can see which skills we gave to Jenny, and where you can bring it to the next level is in terms of the approval process or the way that you want the people to be able to self-assign some of the skills. So maybe like the 0-1 I was saying about interested, maybe I can self-assign, but maybe to become a master in this case, I need to present to a board, or maybe there's an approval process to my manager. So this is, and maybe it's also based on my kind of a yearly improvement, personal or business-wise plan that I have, my performance management plan that I have with my manager. So you can base those assignation of proficiency and skills on those levels.
Yeah. And I think if I can just give a little tip, like we mentioned earlier, if after today you're like, oh my God, we want to start tracking skills, again, start simple, 1, 2, 3 skills, pick something that everybody is kind of has certain level of that skill. Then you don't have to assign it to everybody in your organization to start with. You can start with just maybe 5 resources that all have the same role. So you can actually use the compare resource functionalities. And then just go from there, start comparing for that specific role. And then over time, you can add other skills, add other people, but keep it simple. And then one thing I wanted to bring up as well is on our next webinar, there's actually some improvement we've made to the skills component in Client. So if before the next webinar, you can go ahead and set up some skills so that when we talk about it, you can actually start leveraging those. That would be ideal. It's kind of a little challenge I give everybody today. Just go and set
Great
up a couple
challenge.
of skills. Yeah.
There's a lot of homework after this webinar, right?
A lot, but the skills one is actually related to like the next feature. So if you want to take advantage of them, then I would do that for sure. All right, and let me just launch a last poll for skills. And then while we're just gathering some answers, keep in mind, like for all of these feature spotlight that we did, we have a deck presentation and we've included resources for them. So if you want to dig deeper after today, all the information is there afterwards. And then for this one, I'll just give you a couple more times and then we'll end with another poll because we want to know of all the features we talked about today, which one you're most excited to go set up. So let me just end that one and go to our feature spotlight. So let's see. There you go.
I know already which one is your best one. You mentioned it, the skills one, right? You wanted to
Am I
influence
biased? I
big
don't want to
bias.
influence the results, but
You did.
I know as well some of those topics we've talked a lot about before and some are kind of newer. So yeah, it's Workspace presets.
Yeah.
You can select more
Those
than
are
one.
mine. Those are mine. I didn't mention it, but this is mine.
I'll leave that one open. Before we wrap up, yeah, just a couple of best practices moving forward. Just make sure in general, make sure you upgrade every quarter. All the things we're talking about on those webinars is great that you're attending. That's like first step. But if you're not upgraded, you won't be able to take advantage of everything. And our next version is going to be available 49.11 on November 29th. So like next Friday, very soon. So maybe plan to upgrade sometime before the end of the year. Second of all, make sure you join our monthly webinar today, the next one. The next one is going to be December 12th. So exactly 3 weeks from now. And in our follow-up email, we'll share the registration link. And then make sure you meet with your customer success manager as well to make sure you can keep elevating those client skills, your client game. So we'll be following up with an email. And then before we head out, let me just pull the final webinar feedback survey, which is just our very last thing. We just want to know this one, especially we're curious to know because it was a little bit of a different format than what we're used to. So if you can take a couple of minutes to answer the survey, how did you find the webinar? It's going to help us moving forward as well. Align, these webinars are just for you. So we want to make sure they're aligned with what you need.
And you want to come on the December webinar because it's one of our most exciting release, and they've been very exciting for the past 3 months. But the next one, there's a ton of things, and there's a lot of resource planner stuff that I'm looking forward to show you. So yep, come on
Yeah, we've
December
talked
for
about
your
the
Christmas
roadmap
gift.
of that release for months now. I feel like it's a long time waiting. All right. Thank you so much for joining and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rosalie. À bientôt.